Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Purple Noon, a podcast. Long time no see. I'm sorry, I got sick again, but please excuse it. I am immunocompromised.
Okay. We
It was a doozy. Like,
understand.
I literally have not had a break because I had a cold, like a mysterious cold for like 3 months. And then I had a 1 week break before getting a double ear infection.
That's right.
So, like, I've been out of it for, like, a month, it feels like. I've been, like, at, like, half capacity for a month, and it sucks. But I'm better now, and sorry for I think, in the past month, we've only been able to do, like, 1 episode, and that's tragic.
Yeah, unacceptable. No, but you know what? Halloween's coming up, and that means Freak Week.
Oh my god, yeah, we'll make it up to you guys with Freak Week. But anyways, I didn't even get to introduce my lovely host, my lovely co-host, and, just the goro to my Tampopo, Savanna Lanausse.
Hi.
So, yeah, I've been sick. We've had to cancel because, it's kind of hard to record a podcast when you can't hear. So,
Yeah.
it was a little bit of a doozy, but that only just means that in the meantime, you have been able to catch up on the Chris Chan doc.
I'm tired. I'm just gonna tell you right now. I am tired.
It's just like I said, it's a deep rabbit hole.
Yes. Yeah. That it's a car crash you cannot look away from.
I think the last time we recorded an episode, you were on like part 8. And now you're like what, part 30? I think there's only like 40 or 50 parts so far. I think it's
Yeah. So
49
I
right
gotta
now.
be like at least halfway through. I hope so.
I think so. I think you're probably like 75% of the way there. And yeah, like I still recommend it. I mean, it's funny. It's almost like a Vietnam flashback because I can proceed most of my day, but then for example, if I hear like Sonic the Hedgehog, I'm like, oh no. Like and then the memories come in.
Yeah. Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it it's a mind altering process, but I still recommend it.
Yes. I mean, would my life be better off not knowing this? Who could
Probably.
know? Maybe. I don't know.
Probably. You there would be this little it's almost like if you could take your entire life and put it on like a color-coded timeline, let's say, there would just be this little gray strip. And that would be the moment
My
you
knowledge of
discovered
this.
that the moment I showed you the Chris Chan doc.
It's okay. We have something to bond over now.
Of course, as if having a podcast wasn't enough, you know?
No,
Now
but
we have to
something
go through
we
the
need to
trenches together
we
too.
need to freshen it up. We need to spice it up, you know?
Of course. It can't just be all, happiness and good movies and, all stuff like that all the time, you know?
Yeah, we have to mix it up.
Aside from that, have you been able to have you started any new series? Have you watched any new movies or anything like that?
I started the show. Have you ever heard of Why Women Kill?
I have heard of it before.
It's very much, you remember that comic book you lent to me that one time? It
Oh,
was
A
called
Lady Killer or
Yeah,
something like that?
it kind of reminds me of that. It has the same aesthetic.
Mhm.
But I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it.
Nice, nice.
What about you?
It's just YouTube videos. It really is
Oh,
just YouTube
wait, we
videos.
have to
Oh, what?
talk about what you recommended me.
Oh my god, what did I recommend you?
Garth.
Oh my god, thank you for reminding me. Yes, there is one show and one show only I've dedicated the past month of my life to, and it is Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. And I have been trying to implement it to all of my friends that I know, which is just you and my boyfriend at this point in time. So I have been obsessed with the show from like the early 2003 called Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. And I knew about it and I've always wanted to see it, but finally this year as of July they put it on US Amazon Prime. And I watched that whole thing in one day. It's only 6 episodes. I watched that whole thing in one day and my life is better because of it. And I hope yours is too.
Oh yeah. It's so bad, it's good. It's so funny.
It takes so much to be able to make a show like that. Like, I love like, one of my favorite shows of all time is Danger 5. Anything that's in that realm of, like, trying like, it's so bad, it's good, but, like, also still impressive, I love. So, as soon as I saw Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, I was like, "This is for me." And then plus, you have, was it Matt Berry, who I just love from What We Do in the Shadows, Toast of London and everything like that, who's a part of it, and it is just everything I could have ever needed while being sick.
It's honestly, in all seriousness, it is the perfect, like, thing to put on your list for Halloween coming up.
Absolutely, especially if you're a fan of, like and what's great too is, like, how niche is it for us to be able to find something that relates to Riget
Oh my
somehow?
gosh.
Like, it's actually, like, a parody of so many things. You have, like, Stephen King parodies, you have even, Riget, parodies and stuff like that. It's a Twin Peaks parodies. It's so overall, like, if you are a TV lover, especially a TV lover of the '80s and '90s, you should love Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
Yeah. I mean, also, like, for me, like, I don't during Halloween, I don't watch a lot of, like, super, super scary, dark stuff. I like to keep it light. This
Mhm.
is the perfect thing to watch. It's spooky, but funny.
And the quotes. Like, I have been contemplating on getting this board for, like, my door, essentially, and because every episode, Garth Marenghi, who's an author who has his own TV show made about him, and he stars in it and acts in it, everything like that, he starts out every, like, intro saying, like, "I'm Garth Marenghi, author, writer, dreamweaver, visionaire, plus actor." And I really wanna get that because even this may sound very pompous, but all of that can kinda apply to me too. So I really just wanna put that on my door as, like, the intro to my world that is my room.
You have to. It was
It's
made for
so
you.
good. Do you have a favorite character and episode from that show so far?
I only saw the first episode. I haven't gotten around to the
Oh,
second. I'm kind of
okay.
saving it. I want to save it for, like, Halloween. I do. It's going to
Gotcha.
be on my October list. But from the first episode, I do really like, of course, Sanchez. And I can't remember the name of the other guy. He's the only other uh the black character.
Oh, that's, Richard Ayoade,
Yeah,
who the D Dean Lerner
I
is
think
his
he's great.
character's name.
I think he's great.
He's actually the writer and director of that entire series as well, and he's also responsible for one of my favorite movies ever, The Double, with Jesse Eisenberg.
That is crazy that
He
you can
wrote
go
and
from
directed
that
that.
to that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird, but also a little bit makes sense, Like, it just kinda especially the humor. The humor in it is, like, kinda similar, like, that dark, twisted humor and stuff. You'll get to, like the second episode's pretty great too, but there's one quote that's been living rent free in my head, aside from the author, actor, visionaire one, and it's like, "I turned around the corner, stacked well and, like, shaped like corned beef," and it's, like, the weirdest thing, and it's just been stuck in my head.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Mhm. Oh, and I also learned that there are theories that, um, inspiration from, Rick and Morty has been taken from that show. Like, Rick and
Oh,
Morty
I
took
didn't know
some
that.
and one of the reasons being is that you have a character named, Sanchez, and then the doctor's name is Rick. So, they think that they watched the show, and there's also, like, little tiny nuances here and there. So, they think they got the name Rick Sanchez from the show.
Wow, okay, interesting. I
Yeah.
can see that.
There's many layers, as Shrek would say, like an onion. But yeah, so if you haven't seen it, please go check it out. It is my pride and joy of the month, and I can't believe I even forgot it for a second, because when you were like, the thing you recommended me, I was like, I have not been watching anything. And then I realized, except Garth Marenghi's Dark
Yeah,
Place.
yeah.
It's so good. And I also, if you end up watching that and liking that, check out Danger 5.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm sure right now the people of Danger 5, because I'm the only one who talks about it. The only one. I'm sure that this is somehow gonna get to them, and they're gonna be like, "Dang, it's been, like, almost 10 years. This girl's still going?" This girl is still going
We
because
had
that
a
show came out in
Danger 5 themed
2011.
birthday for you last year. You
Yes.
deserve something.
They wished me happy birthday. They haven't tweeted, and one of their in forever, and one of their last tweets is wishing me a happy birthday.
You have to be
that
proud
was an
of that.
accomplishment.
Yeah, you have to be proud of that.
I was so happy, and it's like for a show that no one knows about.
Who cares? Who cares? It's your show now.
That's like receiving birthday wishes from Boulder from Cricket. Oh man, but yeah, check out those shows. And who knows, maybe come October, maybe we'll do a full scope on Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
Oh,
But all you gotta know is
yeah.
just watch it, and it's on Prime.
It'll be part of our Halloween list.
Absolutely. So, with that being said, shall we get into today's movie film review?
Yep.
So we are going to be talking about Tampopo. Tampopo was a movie that came out in 1985, and it is written and directed by Juzo Itame. And it is about a truck driver stops at a small family-run noodle shop and decides to help its fledgling business. The story is intertwined with various vignettes about the relationship between love and food. And in this cast, you have and I could be botching this, so apologies. I do not know Japanese dialect or Japanese in general. Susumu Yamazaki, who plays Goro. You have Nobuku Miyamoto, who plays Tampopo. And you have a bunch of other various characters. So many people within these vignettes that occur within the movie, but one particular actor stands out. And there's actually a character named Gun, who's kind of like the sidekick to Goro, and it's actually played by a young Ken Wannabe, which I
Love
didn't
him.
even recognize at first. I'm going to be totally
He
honest.
had hair.
Man, Savanna.
He's been bald for a while. That's the thing. So
What do you mean? Ken Wannabe?
yeah, like I mean, in his most recent American films,
He wasn't bald in Inception.
I think he was.
I don't think so.
You know what I'm thinking about specifically?
Who are you thinking
He's
about,
mostly
Savanna?
known for Last Samurai in the United States. So
yes.
he was bald. I know he was bald in that movie.
Okay, but that was 2003. I know in 2010 he had hair.
How would that happen?
Savanna, bald caps. You just shave a head, you know? Like things grow back.
Oh, I thought he was
Oh my God.
or balding. I was under the assumption.
I'm sorry, Ken Wannabe. I'm so sorry.
You're a cutie.
Can't.
You're a cutie. You're a legend. Don't listen to
I like
me.
out of all the things that could have been said about the movie from the get-go.
I just thought he wore a wig. I don't know why, because I also know him from Memoirs of a Geisha and some other Japanese films, but I just thought he wore a wig.
Dude, people can shave their head and it grows back.
I don't know why. It just stuck with me. I was just like, oh, okay, he's bald.
I just really enjoyed that was the first thing you made as soon as I said Ken Wannabe. Not like, oh, the guy from Last Samurai. Oh, the guy from Inception. Oh yeah, when he had hair. And I'm like, huh?
I really like him. He was in a lot of great Japanese films. So I don't know why I just assumed after like 2000 he probably went bald.
I apologize, Ken Wannabe. She's just in a silly, goofy mood right now. Like it's the morning. We usually don't record in the mornings. We're usually more awake at night. We're more feral at night. So I apologize, Mr. Wannabe.
Sorry, sir. No, he's in a lot of great Japanese films. There's one called Memories of Tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very, very good actor. And I wish he was actually in more stuff, or at least his stuff was more promoted here in the US because he's very, very talented. But we should get on with the review and not Ken Wannabe's hairline.
Sorry, you're a legend. You have
if he's
hair.
Balding or not.
Sorry.
So, Savanna, I believe you and I both saw Tampopo together for the first time.
It's one of our movies. You know?
It's one of our movies, and I will say right off the bat, if you do plan on watching this movie, you cannot do it unless you have God's strength. You cannot watch this movie without having some type of food in your lap. It's just too hard, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe people are like, oh, it's just because you're American or something like that. But no, it's very tough to watch without eating. You're going to get totally hungry because all the food in here is so good. But I remember us watching it together, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. We loved it and everything like that. And I think we were also, at least I can say for me, I was also really surprised at how funny the movie was.
Oh, the movie surprisingly has a lot of range, which you
Yes.
wouldn't think for like such a specific topic. It's a movie about food. Um, so when you see all these themes kind of play into it and the cutaways, it's very interesting how they sort of put this movie together.
It's definitely very different. It's definitely a movie that stands out against its own because when it comes to like movies about food related stuff, it's normally like um either more on a somber note or it's more about like a chef's life and a chef's struggle, you know?
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is more so, and this is a little bit of that, but this is so different. Like it literally feels like, and this might sound weird, like a food western.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Because and also like let's look at one of the main characters, Goro, or also known as Bull. Um, he essentially is a truck driver, but with a full cowboy aesthetic. And I love it. It works. It's great and everything like that. And it's just different, you know? And the way that he, gets into fights with people, but also trains Tampopo, which by the way actually means dandelion in Japanese. Um, the way he trains, it's very like Olympian. It's so interesting and it's so different, especially like when you think of like training movies and stuff like that. Like the only thing I can really think of that involves like a master and a student teaching type of thing that isn't like, battle related or anything like that would be Whiplash. But this is on a totally different, like, happier note, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I think also the movie is more about like uh our relationship with food, I want to say, or different types of relationships with food. Because there's
Oh, yeah.
different scenes that kind of mirror like, oh, like they get crazy with food, or the proper etiquette to eat food, or just a bunch of different things. And it's very unique. The structure of the movie is very unique, and a lot of people don't like the because it's not linear. It's kind of in and out to the main story. There's a bunch of mini stories in between it,
Mhm.
but it works very well. Like it's not distracting. You don't kind of lose your place within the main story. It's done very, very well.
Yeah, it's done. I think automatically we can say, I think we can get into the spoilers, and you and I both agree that we recommend this film, that this film is fantastic, and we highly
Yeah.
recommend the watch. Like don't spoil it for yourself, just watch it. It's just fun to watch. And I even found out that apparently you can actually, it's in the Criterion, but it's actually available on YouTube as well for free. Don't know why it's free, but it's there if you want to watch it for free with English subtitles.
Oh,
So
nice.
let's go through all the different kind of characters and all the different story arcs that are within here.
Okay.
So we have the main story arc, which is between Goro and Tampopo. Like I said, it's kind of like a, food Western type where you have like the master and the student and everything like that. I will say in the end, I was still kind of hoping for them to like, you know, get back, like get together and things like
Yeah, link
that.
up.
Yeah. You said that so casually. Yeah, hook up. But yeah, like I was kind of hoping for some like for them to get together in the end, but overall I think how it kind of felt like a samurai's journey as well, where it's like, okay, we have to go to this place and try out this. We have to go to this place and we end up having to, take a vacuum and save a man from dying from choking on his food and things like that, Like it felt very it felt like a journey. It didn't just feel like some poor woman just being like worked to death in a kitchen. And the topic of work to death literally comes up later in the film. But we don't see like her like because I feel like this movie easily could have just been like woman owns ramen shop is exhausted to death because she's trying to be the best of the best.
Yeah.
It could have easily taken a dark turn if it wanted to. And it would have been very realistic for, gender norms at the time and things like that. And just, even within like hardworking in Japanese culture and what that actually means. So
Yeah.
I feel like that I'm really happy it went on a lighter note instead of, a dark note, which easily could have been as realistic.
Oh, totally. I mean, this movie could have gone in a lot of different directions. Like, it could have been a really sad movie or a really intense movie. And again, they could have just stayed on that main path. And it really could have just been about her struggle.
Yeah.
And we could have dived more into like Tampopo's character, but I really think they did the movie justice by keeping it light and by kind of sticking to the main topic of food instead of making it like very character orientated.
Mhm. Absolutely. I think I love the character Tom Popo. She kind of stands out because majority of the characters that she's surrounded with is in a male-centered environment. So she stands out even more. But what's great is that she's a complex character. She is not necessarily and I'm pretty sure Juzo Itame is actually very known for doing like female-centered oriented movies. She's actually a very well-rounded character and doesn't stand out, if it makes any sense, doesn't stand out too far from the men around her to the point where the environment, like, doesn't work, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Does that
yeah.
make sense? You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean by that?
I understand.
So I really like what they did with her character. I like her relationship that she has with her son and everything like that. And just the relationships that she has with all these different characters, everywhere from Goro to even like I believe they were Yakuza members, all the guys who wore dark clothes all the time.
Yeah,
I think so when they were originally like giving her crap in the ramen shop and stuff like that. So
right.
I think she's a very well-rounded character. What did you think about specifically Tampopo?
Oh, I mean, I think they made her very sweet and but not to the point where she's like, this very helpless female, like, oh, this guy's gonna come to the rescue. No, I think she did most of the work. She was very hardworking. I think they portrayed her um very well. She was the good character and she had a lot of good qualities, but not to the point where like it sort of uh what's the word I'm looking for? Um Not to the point where it like got in the way of her determination.
Yeah.
So I think they did well with that because I think back then there was a lot of just stereotypes about women in film. So just to see a very determined woman on her own, having her own shop, ready to learn, ready to work hard, it was very good. It was very good.
And I think it's funny that they actually gave her the name Tampopo or Dandelion because you would expect a name like that for her to be extremely fragile, for
Right.
her to like essentially if like the wind blows on her, like she'll crumble over and stuff. So I really like that they gave her a name that doesn't represent like fully who she is, but more like the pretty aspect of it, the sweet aspect of it rather than because they
Exactly.
easily could have made her like oh, she can crumble underneath
Like
pressure and everything like
helpless.
that,
Yeah.
They definitely could have gone with that route. But they overall, even from the beginning, made her a pretty strong female lead.
For sure. For sure.
Now, let's talk about Goro. I feel like Goro is like an inspiration of many different Italian Western heroes. He's got a soft side, but he's also gung ho. It's just he's a sweet little combination. Like he's kind of like uh, if you will, like a ramen shop's version of oh, what's his name, Clint Eastwood, but a
That's
lot
what I
softer.
think was happening. I think they were trying to make him into like a Clint Eastwood, especially because he kind of starts off the movie fighting.
Yeah.
So, but I do like that they sway that, feisty side of him into this very caring person that just wants to see this lady succeed.
And I really just like how like the way that he trains Tom Popo is very Olympian-esque. Like everything is time. It's like, all right, let's do this. And then like going to all the different places and stuff. I enjoyed like the way that whole segment was done as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I think their dynamic was very good.
Absolutely. I think it's also important for us to discuss the man who introduces the film to us. In the beginning, there's like this.
Oh my god, the
I can't
couple.
recall his name, but I know he's a Yakuza member. And essentially, he introduces the movie to us and everything like that. pretty pompously. So we already get a feel for it's a little bit misleading because you think that's what the direction the movie's going to go, but it actually just gives you a really good scope of that particular character.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's very funny because it's a Yakuza member that literally only cares about food.
Yep.
His whole story is about food. His last wishes, his last thing is, I think, a recipe. It's very funny.
Yeah, it's just, and also he is involved in one of the weirdest scenes probably in cinematic history.
I was not
And
prepared. You didn't
it's
prepare me for that.
definitely because it's all, it goes from like, haha, we're getting the ramen shop ready to I'm going to put a bowl of live shrimp on my girlfriend's stomach to arouse her. And I don't know how we got from A to B to that point, but that's just a little vignette that is shown.
Vignette.
It's a little food play, little saucy little number, and it's very graphic and non-graphic at the same time, because not only is there a weird moment where I think he puts like lemon juice or something acidic on like the shrimp, and this girl's just having a ball as shrimp are dying on her stomach and they're suffocate. It's just a very weird moment. And then also, there's the egg yolk kiss.
I don't understand. I don't like it was very funny because it just seemed like they were like trying to cook while like getting it on.
Like, and I think that was like, I can understand the metaphor where it's like, oh, like, like food, giving food and feeding can be like a love language. But did I really need to see, especially during pandemic times, a yolk go from one mouth to another 7 times?
Yeah, it was
The same yolk? That was a little like, I think
it was a little long. It was it was very long. We could have gotten the
for
same
sure.
thing from like a maybe a minute instead of
I mean, I
3.
feel like if we had just maybe gone back and forth maybe 3 times, we would have understood, but not 7 to 10 times. I feel like that was a little extra at that point.
Oh, it was. It was. It was much. But, they did make their point.
For sure. It was well made. It was loud. It was clear, and it was just very interesting. And that dude, I will say, is probably the one of the most perplexing characters in cinema history, because not only that, but then there's also the whole clam shucking scene, and there's a young girl, and he just licks the young girl. It's just really weird. It's just really weird, man. Like, I
Yeah.
get what it was trying to allude to, like, metaphorically. It was still weird. And then even when he dies, he's like, I want to go to the mountain and kill a boar with my bare hands and cook it. And it's like, okay, dude, relax. It was very aggressive. It was very aggressive the way he described it too. All like the food sexual deviancies in this movie are like still very clean. Like, cause there's no like hardcore sex scenes or
No,
anything
no,
like that,
it's you're not gonna see anything. You're
but
not.
it's very passive aggressive.
It's just yeah, it's very intense and like you're not expecting it because the movie up until that part is very whimsical in my opinion. It's like, oh, ramen,
Yeah, like
Japan.
you even have like Charlie Chaplin-esque little vignettes here and there. You have the one guy, like it's like the young kid at a restaurant with all the other older businessmen, and he shows them his food knowledge, and he's like, "Can I have this duck from France with the caviar sauce?" You have that, and then it goes directly into this food lovemaking, and it's very jarring.
Yeah, that's the exact right
And
word
it
for
could
it.
just be because that's just not my jazz, that's just not that tune that I play to.
No,
But
I
it's
I
still
think it's
very like,
still a little
huh?
like it catches you off guard. Like I understand. Yes.
It was interesting. I mean, I don't think it harmed the movie, but I
No,
don't think
no.
it adds a je ne sais quoi to the film?
Yeah. I know what you it like when I look back at it, I don't go, ugh, like I wish that wasn't in the movie.
No, it's just kinda when I look back at it, I'm like, "Oh, damn, I forgot about this scene." Like, it's just not something I'm very versed with?
Yeah, yeah.
And apparently it's called, so I'm looking up trivia right now. So the Yakuza gangster and his girlfriend involve food play and sidophilia, a form of sexual fetishism in which participants are aroused by erotic situations involving food.
Mm, okay.
Like, I understand maybe putting a little whipped cream on the body, but shrimp? I don't know, man. That's just
They were
me,
just
though.
delinquents. They were just
Yeah.
delinquents.
So it was very interesting. But there is one particular scene in this movie that is completely my favorite. And it is the scene with the overworked mother and the father coming home. And essentially, the mother is dying. And
Oh,
the
yes, yeah.
the husband goes, "No, honey, you can't die. You can't die." And she's just like going, she looks like hell. And he's like, "You have to cook dinner for us." And she magically gets up, cooks some fried rice, she plates it, and then falls over and dies. And there's a doctor there who calls it and is like, "Yep, 922, call her dead," and starts praying over her body and everything. The children that are there watching, they start sobbing, and the father just starts screaming at them, "Eat the food your mother cooked for us." That scene took me away. I thought it was so funny,
It
so
was
dark,
great.
but so unexpectedly funny. Especially like the fact that you just hear the kids like, the spoons hitting the plate and hear and then it's like, "Ate it while it's still hot. She cooked it with her last breath." It's just so funny to me.
No, it's great. It's a great example of, like, dark comedy.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of this movie is that it hits so many different types of comedies that even if, like, let's say you're not really for dark comedy or I don't know why I said that so weird. Dark comedy. If you're not for it, then there's also lighter comedy. There's also, very Chaplin-esque comedy. There's just so many different types within this movie that I think that's why it has such a broad appeal to everyone.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And also, like, at the end of the day, like, I feel like food is one of the most universal things, food and love, really. Like,
Yeah.
I've personally never met someone who just genuinely hated food.
How would that work?
Like,
Like, you just don't like to
obviously,
eat?
there's food disorders and things like that and stuff, but I've never met a person, and I'm not to say that it doesn't exist, but I don't think there's very far few in between people who actually just hate the concept of
Yeah,
food.
exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's why a movie like this works so well because you take two huge universally relatable topics and combine it into one movie. It's a feel good movie that literally everyone can relate to.
Yeah, for sure. It's very like I said, it's whimsical. You have your weird parts, you have your fun parts, you have your dark stuff in there, as you can see, but it's really a movie for there's something for everybody here.
For sure, for sure. You even have other great little vignettes, like in the beginning, when there's like this ramen eating master who's showing like a young guy how to eat, and it's like, "Oh no, you want to thank the pork and say see you soon," which I really didn't understand. To each their own, but like I like things like that. That's also probably the worst scene to watch if you are hungry.
Oh my god. I mean, this whole
Like, you
movie.
have a good bowl of food in front of you, this movie's a delight. If you've been like, if you're fasting for, like, a week and
Don't
you
torture
watch this
yourself.
movie, no, no, that's, like, Soviet Union type techniques right there to make someone who is hungry watch this movie. It's very, very, like, that would be torturous. But you had that, and then you had some other moments too, like I said, the young guy ordering the duck, there was one involving, like, I think it was a group of women, and then there was one talking about slurping of the soup. It just has so much to offer, this movie.
Yeah, definitely. It's for everybody, and there's a happy ending.
There is, well, yes, and it's also another weird ending. And not weird, and not to be like that person to be like, "Oh, breastfeeding? Yuck." I'm
Okay,
not
well,
that,
not
but I didn't need the dramatic zoom on this woman's boob
I just
at
meant Tampopo had a
10
good
AM, you
ending.
know?
I just meant Tampopo had a good ending. I
Oh, her
forgot about
storyline, yes,
I
yes.
forgot about the actual ending.
No, the actual ending is that really long zoom into a woman breastfeeding, which, yes, is beautiful, but it was a little too long, my guy. Like, it was just a little too
Yeah,
long,
it
in
was
my
too little
opinion.
too much. Could be a little too much.
Like, I feel like if they had just done, like, a little cross and then maybe shown, like, some other like, maybe they did, like, a little scan on the woman breastfeeding, and then also do, like, scans maybe like children eating at the dinner table, maybe children eating school lunches, or just showing how f food unifies people in a different way, and not just a perplexing zoom on to a young little child breastfeeding.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's some questionable choices in this whole movie. And they really do take you by surprise. I just remember the first time seeing the shrimp scene in that scene, I'm just like, hmm, he really went all out. They really went all out. They just
And
decided
I
to go
understood
for it.
once again the message he was trying to convey, but it's like, there was a different approach there, sir. You made us
Yeah,
take the scenic route when we could have gone the short way to
he
the
wanted
moral of
us
the
to have
story.
the visual.
For sure, for sure. But I understand, and I think it was good to add that scene in. It just could have been reduced by like another 5 seconds, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It could have been a little bit reduced. Um, so yeah, so besides from what we talked about, was there any other type of storyline within this movie that really like was one of your favorites or really you enjoyed the most?
Honestly, I think we talked about all of them. I really like the um what is it? The dinner scene between them. I thought that was sweet.
Hmm.
But other than that, like I just enjoyed the movie as a whole. It's a good film. Whimsical. That's my favorite word today.
It's a very and it's a film like no other. It's very hard to give recommendations to movies that are like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really stands out on its own. So overall, I don't know if do you own this movie on the Criterion? Do you know
I
that?
do. I
Oh,
have
okay.
it.
So I'm not gonna ask you if you would. I mean, I figured you would if you already have it. But what do you rate this movie, Sweet Pea?
I give it an 8.8 out of 10.
8.8. What do you think is the downside? Is it those two weird scenes or
Um, I honestly think the movie could be a little shorter. Just
okay.
like as we said, some of the scenes just could have been shorter. I don't think we needed sometimes as long as we talked about some of the
Yeah.
scenes lasted. And I felt like that not just for the weird ones, just for some in general. I think they went on a little too long.
Mhm.
Um I would have liked to see more of Tampopo's story and not just with Tampopo. I would have liked to know a little bit more about um his name's Gun, right? Can't remember his
Gunn
name.
would have been Ken Wanabe's character. It was Goro who was the cowboy.
I would like to know about both of them because we never really know too much. So I would have liked to know more about them. And but other than that, it's a great movie. The pacing's pretty good, and the rewatchability of it is fantastic.
Absolutely, I agree. I would have to give this movie a 9 just because it really is hard to find a movie this universally appealing as
Yeah.
well as with such a high watchability rate. And
Yeah.
I really enjoy the directing done with this movie. I like all, the aspects, Juzo Itame took not only from, you know, Japanese cinema from earlier on, but also from even American culture and also just French culture and everything like that. That is found within either the filming aspects or within the foods that are mentioned. We also did forget to mention about the homeless people who were taking like scraps from the fancy
Oh
restaurants
my god.
and like just cooking up a feast. That was also really cute too. I like that scene too. But overall, I probably give it a 9, 9 on the dot.
Good.
The only thing I think I would want more from this film is that I wish the directing could have been a little bit more dynamic. I felt like, especially with foods and things like that, they really could have played more with color, and they really could have played more with different effects. Like especially if you have this woman working in a ramen shop, you could definitely use steam or foggy effects, to convey certain things. Like I feel like he definitely could have been a little bit more adventurous with the directing, although
Yeah.
it's still not bad directing.
Yeah, yeah. I totally get where you're coming from.
So that is our review on Tampopo. And before we think about, oh, what's next? I already got the list up. That's why you heard me
I love
clicking.
it.
So right now, what we have planned for September is at some point the twin. I'm sorry, guys. I've really just it's hard to watch Twin Peaks the revival when you're like deaf for a week. So sorry about that. So at some point we will be getting to Twin Peaks season 3 review with a friend of ours, and for September we have planned on doing like a little Halloween. I almost said peep show, but that doesn't
No.
sound right. Halloween preview, if you will. So we have Nightmare on Elm Street, Peeping Tom, the original Suspiria, and Let the Right One In. And then
Solid lineup.
October we got Freak Week as well as some newer movies that are coming out. Because October's a big month for movies. Let's just say that. And then November, we're going to do a little something different where November is actually going to be our like mafioso month to contribute to our equal part half Italian heritage. So yeah, that should all be fun and interesting. So
I'm going
those
to
from next month, expect either Nightmare on Elm Street, Twin Peaks, Peeping Top, Suspiria, Let the Right One In. We'll figure out the dates and everything like that for those. And yeah, we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, wait, hold on. No, we're not saying bye. What am I doing? I'm crazy as hell. What we forgot. I know. I can't believe I almost did that.
It's
Thank you
okay.
always. Thank you always, always, always to Sensei David and Homeboy James. And if you would like to get a little shout out each episode, definitely check out the links below and check out our why is it every time I almost say Redbubble? Every
Red
time I
bubble.
almost say
Maybe
Redbubble.
it's a sign.
Patreon.
Maybe we need a red bubble.
You know, I think it's because Patreon's logo has a red bubble on it. And
That's not
I
fair.
just made that mental connection and it's not breaking anytime soon. But as always, thank you, Homeboy, James, and Sensei David. And check out all the links below that we offer on ways to support the channel or just follow us on different various social medias. Now, here's the real goodbye. Good day, and have a good rest of your day. Bye bye.
Bye.